of the population before
it's tough for people to think about light at the end of the tunnel with that. I have one last question and turn over to Bill. This morning I listened to your interview on The Daily, which is the New York Times daily podcast. It was with their science and health reporter. And of the 28 minutes that I listened to, I think it lasted 28 and 30 seconds, 24 of those minutes were spent asking you, our infectious disease expert, about your relationship with President Trump. And you're very willing to answer a lot of those questions, and I know that those questions are irresistible for reporters to ask. But is there a law of diminishing returns to continue to answer questions about that relationship if the crisis is as acute as you say?
I agree with you, Dana. And I mean, after that interview, I said to myself, we really got to look forward and ahead and just put that behind us. And I totally agree with you. So looking forward, I'm really not enthusiastic at all about re-examining what happened back then rather than looking forward to what we need to do now.
That's a fair answer, Dr. Fauci. Good morning. Bill Hemmer, and thank you for coming back today. I heard a lot of interviews with you over the weekend. It just seems like there's this aggressiveness toward the Trump administration. I mean, you're the most respected man in America on this topic. Well, why do you even feel the obligation to answer these questions? And by the way, when you were at the White House, no one prevented you from talking, did they?
No, that's why I got into trouble.
What do you mean?
Well, I wasn't happy about some of the things that I said. And here again, we're getting into rehashing it again.
Okay.
I think we should do what Dana just suggested, namely put that behind us and take a look at the problems we have ahead.
Okay.
And not
at 9:37 on this Tuesday morning, January 26th, we will mark this moment, Doctor, and I'm ready to move on with you as well. Why are we rejoining the World Health Organization? They were just allowed into Wuhan this month. Why are we doing this?
Well, you know, Bill, certainly the WHO needs to have some reforms. There's no doubt about that. But when you're dealing with a global pandemic, you need a global organization to coordinate. You have to be part of the global community. If you're not involved with the WHO, which interacts with all the countries, even with all its flaws, which it does have, the better part of really what we should be doing is joining back with them. We should put their feet to the fire about getting reforms, but to be completely out of that circuit, I don't think is productive when you're dealing with a global pandemic.
Well, I'm no scientist, you know that. I'm no doctor. Where did this virus come from, do you think, today? Did it come from a lab? Was it man-made? From where?
You know, my opinion and that of so many of my infectious disease colleagues is that if you look at the genomic sequences of the viruses that are in bats in the wild, it's strikingly similar to the sequences that you have found now in people who have been infected with the original wild-type virus. So it is totally compatible with a jumping of species similar to what we saw with SARS in 2002, where it went from a bat likely to a civet cat to a human and then spread. What we've seen with MERS, where it went from a bat to a camel to a human. So there's every reason to believe that that jumping of species from an animal reservoir occurred.
Well, then that means then that the door is open that this could have come from a market in Wuhan. Am I right about that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the things that I've been talking and my colleagues have been talking about for some time. When you have the animal-human interface and you have animals that come out of the wild that are sold at these open, what they call them, wet markets, where people buy these things for festive dinners or what have you, that certainly is a risk of making a jumping of species from an animal reservoir to a human.
So then here's the catch here then. If the World Health Organization is not in Wuhan for a year, and who knows what the Chinese Communist Party is telling us, how can we figure out the origins of this virus ultimately at any point, Dr. Fauci?
Well, that's the reason why I have from the beginning, Bill, said it is very important for us to get there and go there and interact with the Chinese health officials and the scientists to find out, for example, what is in the bat population there right now? We do have scientists that are working with them now, but we do need to get much more transparency. I have no doubt about that, and I've been saying that for a very long period of time.
You made the request, and what did Beijing